So I just wanted to speak about this incident that went viral about a week or so ago in the US. I'm sure many of you have already seen it. Now, I will speak about a few things in this video, but I just want to start with this incident and then we'll go from there. So there was a brutal beating in Cincinnati. A group of mostly black individuals, they violently assaulted and attacked two white people. So it was a white couple, a man and a woman. They were walking nearby where these people were. And then according to reports, there may have been a minor verbal exchange, but nothing that justified what happened next. So the woman was suddenly punched in the face and knocked unconscious. She fell hard on the floor and she was left bleeding on the street. And as she lay there, the man was also attacked by several individuals from the crowd. He was also knocked on the ground, repeatedly stomped, punched in the head, kicked, and so on. Now, people in the crowd, they watched, some laughed, some pulled out their phones to film. No one really stepped in. Apparently, there was only one person that called 911. By the time the police arrived, which was around 10 minutes later, the attackers had already left the scene. The video, quite frankly, is quite hard to watch. So I guess my question is, how many videos have you seen of a bunch of white people beating the hell out of a random black person in public? Seriously, think about it. You ask someone to show you videos or evidence, they'll probably dig up something from 1,000 years ago. But flip it now, and how many videos are there of groups of young black men usually jumping someone, 5-on-1, 10-on-2, swarming someone on the street while others are filming it and laughing? How often do you see that show up on your feed? And then you hear people complain, oh, but why are they sharing these videos? Why are people sharing these videos, putting us in a bad light? Like the problem is the exposure and not the behavior itself. Because let's be real, it's not the videos that makes us look bad, us. It's what's actually happening in them. So don't blame the person filming it, blame the ones who gave them something to film in the first place. The camera didn't disgrace you, you did that to yourselves. If you want fewer videos like that going around, then make sure there are fewer moments like that happening in real life. It's not that complicated. And then people turn around and also say, oh, but why do they stereotype us? Why do they cross the street when they see me? Why do they profile me in the store? We get mad when people look at us with fear of suspicion. But what exactly do you think causes that fear? Stereotypes don't come out of nowhere. Stuff happens and then it's confirmed. They're kept alive every time something like this Cincinnati attack happens. This world operates on perception. And right now we are not doing ourselves any favors. We can scream, not all black people till we're blue in the face. Every video like this where you see a group of people lose absolute control, lash out, pile on someone already down, sets us back. And where were the black activists and leaders on this one? Where are they now? All the loud voices, where are they? Because I remember not long ago when that video came out of that black man getting punched in the face during the traffic stuff. Everybody had something to say. People were up in arms. This is why we march. This is why we protest. This is what we're talking about when we're talking about systemic violence. So I have to ask, where is that same energy now? Where are the statements telling black men, black people to do better? Where is the accountability? If you say people already think the worst of your group, that black people are violent, uncontrollable, they don't value life, law or dignity, that they're quick to anger, quick to riot, slow to take accountability, how do these incidents not confirm those biases? People can cry poverty, say systemic racism, you can pull out all the historical context you want, but at the end of the day, none of that explains why a grown man, 34-year-old man, these people dressed in designer clothes, or at least pretty well dressed, filming with the latest iPhones, out at 3 a.m, jumping people on the street like it's a sport. These people don't look oppressed, they don't look hungry, they don't look desperate. They look entertained, actually, some of them, when they're committing these acts. It's convenient to act like a victim because if you're a victim, then you don't have to take responsibility. You can say, it's not my fault. You can say, oh, this is what society has made me or caused me to become. And then that excuse gives people permission to act in barbaric, lawless ways without even thinking about the consequences. Because culturally now, some people have decided that calling out bad behavior is somehow anti-black. We have to stop pretending this behavior is excusable in any way. We have to stop explaining it away with, well, other communities do it too. I'm sorry, but that excuse is tired. Because if we're honest, we see this more often in certain parts of the black community, so-called black community, than other communities. And that should bother people deeply. Let's talk about London. You hear that there's a house party in South London and it's all or mostly black people. What is the expectation? Someone is going to get stabbed. Someone is going to get shot. It's not a certainty, of course not, but it's highly probable. That's just a stereotype now. But it didn't come out of nowhere. It came from patterns. And the saddest part is you cannot say the same thing about an all-white party or an all-Asian party. Why is that? Even Juneteenth weekend back in the US, again, a celebration of so-called black freedom has been marred by brawls and shootings. These places turn into outright war zones. Don't people find that heartbreaking? The Notting Hill Carnival, a time again of celebration to celebrate culture. How many were stabbed? A young mother lost her life, and I think the perpetrator was just charged not so long ago. There was another talented chef as well who worked with Gordon Ramsay, who also lost his life as well as a result of another attack. Now, okay, let's do the whole qualifying thing. Yes, the carnival technically is a safe event. Given that it attracts millions of people, the number of arrests and incidents remains proportionally low. But the violence and the antisocial behaviour that does occur should not be brushed aside or downplayed or minimized. There is absolutely no room for justifications or whataboutisms or comparing it to other events, such as other large events like the Glastonbury Festival. Again, technicalities. While it's true that crime is statistically higher at the festival, considering the ratio of attendees to incidents, there is actually less chance of being a victim or being in the vicinity of a stabbing or a serious violent attack at Glastonbury Festival. The crime there is usually drugs and things like that. Not, being murdered. Last carnival, there were 8 stabbings, 18 offences related to the possession of a deadly weapon. It's reaching a point where stabbings and knife-related incidents seem almost expected at Notting Hill Carnival. It's bizarre. Now, apparently because of this, at this year's carnival, live facial recognition technology will be deployed to curb the crime. The Met Police have already confirmed this. And this is the other thing. I am not so sure about these technologies. Okay, it's about safety, but for me, this is just a way to introduce mass surveillance. The UK is already one of the most heavily surveilled countries in the world, especially in terms of CCTV coverage. 7 million CCTV cameras, nearly 1 million in London alone. So I guess some people are saying, well, there is already widespread surveillance, so what is the big problem about LFRs? But I personally don't think handing over more power over our privacy is the best idea just because, well, it already exists. It's already being done. Traditional CCTV might store footage for later review if needed, but it typically doesn't automatically determine who you are immediately. Whereas facial recognition, it adds a real-time identity layer to surveillance. That identity component is what raises serious ethical and legal concerns. And another issue is how the data is used and stored, and the risk of future misuse by either the state or private actors is high. But yes, crime is high in many parts of the UK, but I don't think this justifies the government using that to punish the rest of us and have access to more of our privacy and private lives. Staying on this topic of privacy, let's also talk about the Online Safety Act. This act is the latest way the government has chosen to regulate the internet, with aims to make the UK the safest place in the world to be online. I hate all these grand utopian statements the government makes sometimes. What are the implications for privacy, free speech, digital rights? These are the questions we need to ask. Now, at its core, the online safety places legal duties on tech companies, social media platforms, search engines, other online services to protect children from harmful content, including material that promotes self-harm, eating disorders, adult content. It all sounds noble, right? But there are concerns. For example, weakening end-to-end encryption. that could lead to mandates requiring platforms to scan encrypted messages for illegal content. Ironically, this move might actually undermine security for everyone. Again, it affects everyone. New vulnerabilities can be created that could be exploited by hackers, right? Or authoritarian regimes. Now, the case that really pushed all this online safety stuff into government's hands was the tragic death of Molly Russell. So Molly was a 14-year-old girl from London who died in 2017 after being exposed to thousands of posts about depression, self-harm, right? So she took her own life. And the 2022 inquest found that harmful content, online content, contributed more than minimally to her death. So what I don't quite understand is why more parents aren't simply checking in and being more present with their kids. I get that work and life can get in the way, but shouldn't we be focusing on making it easier for parents to stay involved rather than jumping straight to sweeping authoritarian measures like those in the Online Safety Act? Look, the UK government may not be seeking to become authoritarian, but once this infrastructure for mass surveillance and control exists, it becomes easier for future governments to abuse it, and current ones also. Laws and technologies that seem benign or helpful today can be repurposed so easily, quickly, later to be used for repression, censorship, suppression of dissent. We're already seeing this happen. One of the hallmarks of authoritarian systems is the collapse of privacy as a right. In liberal democracies, privacy underpins freedom, not just freedom from state interference, but the freedom to think, to speak, to associate, and to dissent without fear of being monitored or punished. The more people feel that they are being watched online or in public, the more likely they are to self-censor. A healthy democracy requires dissent. People must be free to criticize. George Orwell imagined a world in 1984 where the state monitors everyone through telescreens and enforces conformity through fear, propaganda, and erasure of truth. What Orwell showed isn't just the danger of being watched, but how constant visibility is a tool of control. When people know that they're being monitored, they internalize the watcher, remember? And begin to police themselves. At the heart of this is a powerful ethical and philosophical shift from being presumed free and innocent to being treated as potentially dangerous or guilty by default. This is the world that surveillance builds. Soon, not being tracked becomes suspicious, wanting privacy becomes something you have to justify, opting out makes you look guilty. So yeah, I went everywhere in this video, but we are truly living in weird and crazy and bizarre times. So I will leave it there. Let me know your thoughts on it all, and I shall see you soon.